waste at school, empowering children to become a responsible citizen of tomorrow.
Welcome to the fourth module of Zero Waste at Schools program. In the previous module, we discussed about 3 R's. In this module, we will discuss composting, the factors affecting composting, its application and advantages, and provide a brief introduction to gardening. In this chapter, you will help students to understand the importance of composting and gardening and help them learn the process of simple bin composting. Composting is a natural process of decomposing the organic matter with the help of microorganisms such as bacteria and fungi into organic manure. This organic manure is called compost. Compost is rich in humus and serves as a natural soil conditioner. The waste from the kitchen and garden, such as fruit or vegetable peels, eggshells, leaves, straws, paper, can be decomposed and turned into a compost. Making a compost is an easy process. There are many ways to make a compost. Composting can be done in the kitchen backyard or in pit or trenches, wooden boxes, plastic drums, terracotta pots, or any other containers. Among them, pit composting, also known as backyard composting, is the most conventional method of making a compost. For this, holes or trenches are dug, gradually filled with organic waste and covered with soil. Naturally occurring microorganisms will then degrade the waste into organic matter and transform it into compost over a period of 2 to 3 months. Composting requires 2 types of compost ingredients, the green and the brown. Green waste, also known as wet waste, includes all kitchen wastes that contains water or moisture. Examples of green waste include food leftovers, vegetables, fruits, and grass. Green waste is rich in nitrogen. Similarly, brown waste, also known as dry waste, is the organic matter that has no water or moisture content in it. Examples of brown waste include dry leaves, sawdust, paper, soil, and straw. These are rich in carbon. A good compost should have a balanced ratio of nitrogen to carbon. That is very essential for plant growth. To maintain this ratio, the quantity of both greens and brown waste should be balanced. Usually, 2 parts of green waste and 1 part of brown waste is used to make a good compost. Most of the kitchen and garden waste can be turned into a compost. Organic wastes like fruit and vegetable peels, crushed eggshells, grounded coffee, tea leaves, used napkins and paper towels, cattle dung, spoiled food and garden trimmings, leaves and twigs can be composted. However, there are some organic wastes that cannot be used for composting. Cat and dog poop consist of microorganisms that directly affect the plants or crops. Fish and meat scraps invite the rodents to a house. Glossy or coated papers, sticky labels on food items, coal fire ash, large tree branches, and large wooden chips cannot be composted as they take too long to decompose. Now, let us learn how we can make a compost. You can also demonstrate the process of making the compost among the students. First of all, take a bin or a box and make small sized holes around the container to ensure air circulation. At the very bottom, make a layer of dry waste such as straw, sawdust, or dry leaves. Then start adding wet or green waste to the container. Keep on adding green waste and cover it with a thin layer of dry waste at regular intervals. In order to maintain the temperature of the dry waste, cover the container with a lid or jute. Turn and stir the compost pile once every 2 weeks. The amount of water in the compost needs to be checked frequently. If it is too moist, add dry waste to the bin. If the compost is too dry, then add water to moisten the compost. The compost will be ready in 2 to 3 months. In order to make the composting process faster, effective microorganism solution can be added to the compost. This solution will also help to minimize the odor produced by the compost. There are several factors that must be considered to maintain a healthy and active microorganism population during the process of composting. The health of the microorganism population will determine the rate and extent of the composting process. Essentially, there must be a right balance of food, air, water, and temperature. Some of the factors include moisture content. Too little moisture would affect microorganisms' activity and make organic matter hard to decompose, while too much moisture could bring down the composting speed. Ideally, composting materials should be wet to the touch but not soaking wet. If the compost heap dries out, spray it with some water when turning or stirring it. If it's too wet, add some dry waste such as dry leaves, straw, and soil. Keep the compost in a shady spot so it will not dry out. Green and brown material, carbon and nitrogen ratio. Composting organisms thrive on a balanced diet of green and brown materials. Green waste such as fruit and vegetable scraps, plant and grass clippings are nitrogen rich. Brown waste such as straw, dry leaves, shredded paper, and dry soil are carbon rich. Nitrogen and carbon ratio should be balanced in the compost manure. The balanced ratio of nitrogen and carbon is 2:1 in the compost manure. Aeration. Aeration is very important factor because all composting organisms need oxygen. To promote good aeration, a few inches of coarse materials such as straw, dry leaves, sawdust, and soil can be put at the bottom of the compost. This helps air to flow underneath and throughout the compost. Turning compost regularly helps fluff up and restore the air spaces needed for the compost. Particle size. When it comes to composting, the smaller the particle, the faster it will break down. So chopping large-sized organic matters into smaller sizes before composting can speed up the process. Composting is the best way to manage kitchen waste and can be an excellent step towards an eco-friendly living. The process of composting provides crops with necessary nutrients, and it also helps saving the environment in many ways. The benefits are reduction in waste. The entire bin of food scraps and organic wastes would normally end up in the landfill if not composted. Organic waste comprises 60 to 66% of the total household waste generation. Making compost out of organic waste will reduce the waste generation at households, resulting in less burden to a landfill site. Decrease in foul odor. When organic waste get mixed with other wastes, it produces foul odor, which degrades the atmosphere at home. The segregation of organic waste in separate bins does not produce a foul smell while turning these wastes into compost. Helps the environment. Compost enhances the soil quality and helps the soil retain nutrients, unlike chemical fertilizers, which are responsible for soil quality degradation. Similarly, it also limits the generation of methane, which is a greenhouse gas that evolves when food waste rot in the landfills. provides nutrition to plants. By adding organic matter to the soil, compost can help improve plant growth and health by providing nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. It also helps to suppress plant diseases and pests. Health benefits. What goes into the garden in the form of rich compost comes back in the form of fresh and organic vegetables and crops. Growing crops using compost enriches one's overall health. Economic benefit. Growing one's own fruits and vegetables will limit our expenses as we no longer or have to buy only limited items from the market. Also, selling the compost manure to the neighbors or the market can be a good source of income. Gardening. Gardening is the process of growing plants, vegetables, flowers, and herbs. Rooftop gardening and kitchen gardening are a few types of gardening. Unused rooftop space can be utilized to grow organic vegetables, which is popularly known as rooftop gardening. This type of gardening is usually practiced in cities where there is not enough land to grow plants and vegetables. Kitchen garden is a garden in which plants such as vegetables or herbs for use in the kitchen are grown. Some benefits of gardening are: it makes the proper use of unused space in the house. Gardening beautifies home surroundings with healthy air. It reduces dependency on vegetables in the market and promotes sustainability. Growing vegetables can be a good physical exercise and can be a good way to pass leisure times at home. Organic compost can be used to grow organic vegetables. Gardening makes one feel connected with nature and homegrown plants. This is all for Module 4. In this session, we learned about composting, benefits of composting and gardening. You can download the Zero Waste at Schools toolkit and learn about the key points that you will need to share with the students from the website. We have also provided extra reading materials in case you want to explore more.